Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to Pft TV. Today is Monday, March the 19th, 2012. And today I just wanted to cover a few things that happened over the weekend. First of all, yesterday we saw the airing of that MTV program, which was all about the Kony 2012 campaign that they had invited me to come down to take part in the taping of it. And it went to air yesterday, and I had a chance to watch it. And it was pretty much just as I had expected. The majority of the crowd there was completely in favor of the Kony 2012 campaign and the message of the film. And there were a couple of people who were a little bit outspoken, basically saying that we need to be careful. We need to do our research into this organization before we donate to them. So it was good to see that point being put across, but no doubt if I had managed to work it into my schedule and if I could have made it, I certainly would have brought up the point about the issue is military intervention in third world countries, and not just Uganda and the Congo, but other countries in Africa. That is the main issue. And that point was not really raised. They tended to focus more on the film itself, the campaign leading up to April 20th, and more about the organization itself, Invisible Children. And speaking of which, another thing that just recently surfaced, this just came out just before the weekend, and something happened. It was after the taping of the MTV program, so none of the people at MTV knew about this at the time because it hadn't happened yet. But the main organizer of this campaign, Jason Russell, the man behind the film, he's the director in the film. He's the man who's seen with his child, the cute little boy, saying, "I want to be just like Daddy someday," and take down the bad men. Well, Jason Russell, the main organizer behind Kony 12, was just recently arrested. The man completely lost his mind, and the reports are that he was running around in the streets half naked, masturbating in public, vandalizing cars, uh, screaming out, cursing at the top of his lungs. Basically, he completely snapped and lost his mind. Who would have thought that within weeks of this film coming out, not Joseph Kony would get arrested, but the director of the film would get arrested. And anyways, their Invisible Children officially put out a statement, and Jason Russell's wife put out a statement saying that he was under a great deal of stress because of the rigorous campaign, and that the success of the film was just too overwhelming for him, and he had this mental breakdown. Um, but I would venture to say something else. I don't personally, this is my opinion here. I don't get the feeling that this man was just overwhelmed with the tremendous success which led to this complete mental breakdown. I would venture to say that Jason Russell became aware of the fact that he is being used as a pawn in a much larger game of chess here. That his work for the last 9 years is now what is being used as the propaganda piece to allow for military intervention in third world countries. And I think he's realizing that it's not the children of Africa who are going to benefit, but it is the military industrial complex. I mean, AFRICOM has already stated that they want to have the ability to be able to invade countries under the guise of humanitarian purposes. So, and we're already seeing like the Americans introducing legislation which basically calls for military intervention in just about any country by organizations like the United Nations, the International Criminal Court, giving them the ability to bypass Congress and just go in, invade another country, all under the guise of humanitarian purposes. So I think Jason Russell has come to the realization that his film is being used as a propaganda piece to get the West behind this military intervention, and it's not going to be the children of Africa that benefit, but it's in fact going to be the military industrial complex. And I would venture to say that is more likely the reason for this complete mental breakdown. I mean, the guy included his son in the film. You know, this kid is going to be famous now because of all this. And bottom line is, when the military intervenes, bad things happen. Innocent people die. Resources are stolen from the people. And it's not the people who benefit, it's the military industrial complex, the very business of war. So it's my guess that he came to the realization of just what he has contributed here in the world, and it led to his complete mental breakdown. But again, who would have thought that this would be the outcome? I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It's just unbelievable. And totally unrelated, another story happening over the weekend is this weekend marked the 6-month anniversary of the Occupy Wall Street protests that sparked off down there in lower Manhattan and quickly spread all across the globe, where people began occupying their town halls and city halls and places all over the world. Well, this weekend was the 6th month anniversary. So a lot of the protesters returned there to Zuccotti Park on, I think it was Saturday, and they were met by a massive amount of police brutality. The police just came in and completely cracked down on it. And the mainstream media hasn't been providing much coverage of this at all, if any. And luckily, though, we have people on the grounds like Luke Rudkowski of We Are Change, independent journalist who was there, as he always is, at the right time, at the right place, to capture the footage and document the true events that are taking place on the street. So if you want to see for yourself what happened this weekend in New York at the Occupy Wall Street movement as they tried to retake over Zuccotti Park, you'll see the police clamp down in this footage. I'll put a link in the description to Luke Rudkowski's video. One of the troubling moments in the video is when a young girl is snatched by the police. She's placed in handcuffs behind her back and drawn behind the police line. And at which point this girl collapses and begins having a seizure on the ground. And it's very troubling to watch this footage because it goes on for what seems to be, probably almost 10 minutes, where this girl is lying on the ground in handcuffs having a seizure, and the police would not allow any of the paramedics or the medics to get through to help her because they would have to cross the police barricades and the police lines, which they would just not allow. So she was left there having a seizure, no medics paying her any attention, and she looked like she was completely unconscious, and they eventually just picked her up and dragged her off. And it is very troubling footage to watch, but you should certainly check it out because there's a good chance that in the coming months, this could be a little foreshadowing of what may be coming to a town near you very soon. Because as we know, as the weather is getting nicer out, no doubt we're going to see a re-emergence of all of these Occupy movements and protesters taking to the streets again because the weather is nice. And no doubt the police are going to prepare to deal with the situation. And so we're just going to have to keep on our toes. And no doubt we here at Press for Truth, if anything happens here in Toronto, we're going to do our best to be all over it and to provide footage and coverage of whatever happens this spring and this summer so that we can bring the info to you. Because again, the mainstream media is just simply not doing their jobs these days in that regards. And on that note, something else that's been going on this weekend. You have huge protests going on in Montreal. Um, a lot of students have a very good cause to be getting out in the streets. Their tuition are going through the roof, and they're coming out of school completely up to their neck in debt, and it is unacceptable. And it's a very worthy cause to get out in the streets and have their voices heard. But their voice isn't being heard this weekend. The mainstream media, rather than covering things like that, chose to cover the riots that took place in London, Ontario. And that's another thing that took place this weekend. Huge riots in London, Ontario, thousands of people involved. Many of the rioters flipped over a news van, set it on fire. I believe there's over $100,000 in damages. And it's just despicable, and the people of London should be ashamed of themselves. And it's not painting a good picture for Canada, because the mainstream media often covers that. These kinds of things, just like what we saw with the hockey riots that took place not long ago in Vancouver. Well, now we can add London, Ontario to the list of these um, people who don't have a cause, and we're just getting wasted on St. Patty's Day, getting completely wasted and just getting out in the streets and causing a riot. And again, it's disgraceful. The people who took part in that should be ashamed. And meanwhile, if there's so many things going on right now in our government. We have a potentially illegitimate majority government because the election seems to have been stolen from the people. Meanwhile, we have bills like C10 being passed, C11 on the way, C30, these draconian laws that are coming into place. Um, Students up to their neck in debt, all these things going on. But unfortunately, the mainstream media chose to focus on drunken idiots setting cars on fire. So, it's that's pretty much the news from the weekend. And what I'm getting out of this weekend is that we in the alternative media need to step up our game and follow the example of people like Luke Radowski, who get out there and get their cameras out there and cover the events that truly matter to the people. And I want to do that for Canadians as well, is to cover the events that truly matter and that people should be paying very close attention to. Um, so, anyways, that's it for today, guys. If you want to see the footage from what Luke shot this weekend, check out the link in the description. And if you're not subscribed to his channel, I would strongly suggest that you do subscribe. He's an excellent journalist, and he provides a lot of great info there. And I'm still working on getting him on the show. But as you can see, he's a very busy man. He's promised that he'll be coming on as soon as he can. So as soon as he has some free time, we'll get him on so we can learn more about him. And anyways, that's it for today, guys. Thanks for tuning in again today, and I will talk to you all tomorrow. Okay, take care.